welcome back. I'm Shaketta Thomas again here in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry House, and I'm so stoked right now because I am sitting beside none other than Mr. Landau Eugene Murphy from America's Got Talent. I'm sure all of you know him, and just, oh my goodness, thank you so much for being here with us today at COABE.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, for those that don't know, what season were you on America's Got Talent?
Season 6, 2011.
Season
That's
6.
Pierce Morgan, Howie Mandel, and Sharon Osbourne were the judges. And Nick Cannon was still the host.
All right then. And what was your thing that you brought to America's Got Talent?
The Great American Songbook. Singing crooner classics, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Dean Martin, things like that.
Oh, that's my area. You speak directly to my heart. And you know what? You blessed us with your voice this morning for our opening at our 2024 COABE Annual Conference. You really do have an affection for teachers and education.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because I believe in the song Whitney Houston sung years ago. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well.
And let them lead the way.
Now imagine if you don't teach them well. What is your future going to look like? Are you even going to have Social Security there? They're going to care about you. So it's all the seeds that we put into these kids. It's going to make our future better. When I become an elderly old man, I want to be respected as that. Somebody who gave back to society. Somebody who deserves to be able to live a life and rest for the rest of my days. But if you don't teach these kids how to respect that, and they don't have the knowledge or the power to be able to help you do that, then your old golden days are going to be very rough. So back to what I was saying, I believe the children are our future. So teachers like you play a major part in that. You know, do we want movies to teach our kids? Do we want, criminals or crooks to teach your kids? You don't. You'd rather have a nice, successful, respectful teacher that can guide them in the right direction. I was one of those kids. You were one of those kids.
Absolutely. Now, but during your school age years, as a kid, there came a point where you separated from the school system,
Yes,
right?
yes.
What was that about?
It was about just being misunderstood. I was a daydreaming kid, but I wasn't wasting my time daydreaming. I was thinking of other things that could better me in my future. But some teachers don't understand that, and they just label you as that bad student. I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't fighting people in class. I was just bored with the subject she was trying to teach me because my mind was elsewhere. Like, for instance, I had a geography teacher named Dr. Kingston. And for extra credit, you could put together the world map with this, it's like a big wooden puzzle, gigantic, about as big as this space here. And you put it together in record time. And so I would beat everybody's record every time I would put it together because I love science, I love geography, I love world maps, things like that. And so I was doing this, putting together, beating my own time. And then I remember one day he was like, "Oh, look at Landau, Mr. Smarty Pants." And I was like, "You know what, Dr. Kingston, if I wanted to be Smarty Pants, I would have put it together like this." And I made Pangea. Not even knowing what Pangea was at that time, I just can look at it with common sense and say, I can tell that South America was once connected to Africa.
That's interesting that you say that in your experience in the classroom, even as a child. We come with different experiences,
Yes.
different knowledge, and the thing that educators sometimes miss in this case is tapping into that experience, tapping into the different ways that one may know or learn.
Right.
And so then a lot become disenfranchised. And I know that. I was a different type of learner in school, and my brother was totally the opposite, right? And I became a mother that has children that are all different ways, and all of them are smart, very much so,
But
very
in their
gifted,
own way.
but in their own way.
Yeah.
And so how we tap into that. And I don't say that the education system failed, but sometimes we just fail to see what a need was.
Yes.
So then you separated from school at that point.
That's what caused it. It was just basically year after year of that, especially after, I would say, middle school.
Right.
Then it just got to the point where it was just like I started to see the politics in the school too. I mean, a kid whose parents are prominent in the neighborhood or working for Chrysler or General Motors get special treatment versus a kid like myself whose mom's on welfare.
Right.
You know, and just being a mom at home, raising her kids to the best of their abilities.
I hear what you're saying, because advocacy plays a big role in being able to make changes in the adult education system. That's one thing that we really do push for, is everybody using their collective voice.
Right.
Because there are unique needs, and every need really should be addressed, right? And so what happened after you stopped going to school?
After I stopped going to school, I'm very witty and crafty, so I just started working like any other productive citizen. I mean, I've made anywhere from $7, $25 to $33 an hour. You know, just being nice and being able to stand up to a man in the corporate world and say, hey, I can do this for you, blah, 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 and they'll end up giving me the job. The worst part about that was I had to lie on my application. You know, or I had to put N/A, you know, not available. Where'd you graduate high school? NA. Or sometimes I would just write down Fairmont College or Fairmont or whatever, anything like. But,
so that you can get a job and try to put food on the table.
Exactly.
Trying to survive.
But there's always that scary moment in the back of your head, like when these new kids come in that's out of high school or out of college, are they gonna take my job after I've been here for 7 years putting in work? You know, and I hated that feeling.
Right. There was an emptiness.
Yes, but I always had a great job. I always kept a great job in construction, operating 10-ton cranes, driving forklifts, you know, shoveling, finishing concrete. Just a jack of all trades. I also cut hair in my mom's basement, making $500 a week, just cutting people's hair in the neighborhood.
So tell me then, how did you get to America's Got Talent?
Hard times. While I was away doing, you know, my little one-man show for nursing homes and veterans, abused kids, abused women, somebody robbed my house. They took everything that I had built up in that house. I had remodeled, put chandeliers up, done the floors, all these things. And while I was away, somebody went in the house, stole my stove, refrigerator, the washing machine, the dryer. They didn't even unhook it, they just yanked it out. So now I got water running out my front door. And I come in the house and my eyes just well up with tears. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. They took all of my clothes, took everything. So being born and raised in West Virginia since I was, you know, born all the way up until I was 10 years old, then my parents split up. I moved from West Virginia to Detroit. I got a West Virginia side and I have a Detroit side.
Right.
The Detroit side was like, look, let's go get your stuff back by any means necessary. But the West Virginia side said, look, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And all you need is a bigger stage. What is that bigger stage? The universe speaks in very vivid, mysterious ways at the same time. The TV in my mom's room where I was crying at went to a commercial and it was Howie Mandel. Are you the next winner of America's Got Talent? Do you have what it takes to headline your own show in Vegas? Are you our next $1 million prize winner? I am talking to you. And when that happened, a chill went through me and I said, that's it. That's the stage. And then I signed up for America's Got Talent and I waited for about 2 or 3 weeks for a confirmation email. Once I got the email, they told me to wait for a phone call. I waited for that. Phone call comes in. Girl that I'm with at the time didn't believe it when they called, so she hangs up the phone.
Wow.
It was like, hey, this is America's Got Talent. We're looking for Landau Eugene Murphy. And she's like, yeah, right. Click. Lo and behold, they called back. I get the phone. They ask me, you know, how do I want to do my audition? You can do it in several different ways. You can go to several different states and do it, or you can submit a video. And I figured since what I was going to do was Frank Sinatra, I need to go to New York.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it in New York, where you can do it
anywhere. Yes.
Exactly. So I went to New York to the Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan. Stood in line from 5:48 a.m. I didn't get into the building until like maybe 6 p.m., which was more lines. I didn't audition till like 10 o'clock that night. I was the last person to audition. And that audition changed my whole life.
The last person to audition.
Yeah, I was the very last person.
Talking about persistence and resilience and just how that all came to be. And one thing, I'm a good Southern girl. I know you're from West Virginia.
Yeah.
I like how you say, you know, you got your Detroit side and you have your West Virginia side, you know, but tapping into those home roots sometimes really do keeps us centered and grounded. And so you went on America's Got Talent and was truly very successful and changed your whole life, correct?
Yes.
But there was still a hole. Still a void.
Still a void.
And what was that?
Well, going on America's Got Talent and winning that show, and then going on tour, getting all these different accolades. I mean, I have the Toya Award. That's the top outstanding young American award. That's like the highest award that a citizen can probably get in the United States of America. The only people that really got that award is like me, Michael Jackson, Bill Clinton, Elvis Presley. Elvis carried his around with him all the time.
Right.
And this award is made by the Oscars. And I'm proud of that. I beat Steve Harvey. I beat all of these people.
Awesome.
You know, and I got all these different accolades. So many that I can't even really.
That truly you can be like, you know what, I have beaten some of the best best in the industry.
Right.
I can sit back and just really be, you know, proud
really
of myself. But you weren't.
But I wasn't. It was still a void. And that void was my high school diploma.
Yeah.
And that was the one that really meant the most to me. And it really meant so much to me because my mom didn't graduate high school. She got to the 11th grade and dropped out also. My dad was Army veteran, you know, in the military, so she's raising 5 kids and all of that, but she never finished high school. I remember at a point in my life where my mom tried to go back to school, but it didn't work. But in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna get this diploma, you know, and one day I'm gonna hand it to my mom. She's gonna be proud of that. But come out that show, you hit the ground running. Everything's going so fast, you know, 7, 8 years go by like that. But here comes the pandemic. The pandemic slowed everything down. It shut down all the shows. So I'm sitting at home one day and I'm just like, you know what? This is the time I can go back to school. And so my fiance was like, you sure you want to do that? And I was like, yeah. She was like, all right, I'm not going to sign you up if you're not going to do it. Like, you really got to do it.
So she was holding your feet to the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't going to let you back out.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm just, you know, lollygagging around watching Netflix, YouTube, you know, things like that. And she came in one day and was like, nope, click, turn everything off. I was like, here, study.
Right.
And then I started using all my, you know, my cell phone or laptops and things like that to actually really study algebra and you know, take these tests on edgeannuity.com online.
Yes.
I started doing stuff like that, and then, you know, once I went and took the test, I passed everything except for the math. And then I had to go back and take the math part, and then I passed that. And I was happy. I got that diploma. I remember coming home with my cap and gown, and I just stood in front of my mom. She was sitting on the couch, like putting pennies in penny rolls. You know how
I remember.
I don't know why she does that.
They saved those pennies and made sure they went in those penny rolls.
Well,
yes.
She got all this money while she's sitting there like just putting these pennies in these penny rolls, and she's filming it. And I'm just kind of sitting there just in my cap and gown, just standing there waiting for her to look up. As soon as she looks up, it was worth it. Just the expression on her face, the hug she gave me.
I'm
that
sure
very
that
proud
was a
moment. Yeah.
Yes.
And with tears in her eyes, tears in my eyes, tears in her eyes. And,
she was like, my baby.
Oh yeah. I didn't know, because I didn't tell anybody.
Right. And I'm sure she was just elated in that moment. And a testament to your mother and for all the women in my past that I know that life got in the way and they were not able to go back to school, you know, because they were trying to raise us, or, you know, from our grandmothers and a lot of my other family members. They were very smart women. I mean, they raised us, right?
Yes.
Very smart women. But there were a lot of barriers from them being able to pursue or continue on into education. And I know that to be so true even here today. And Hector Martinez, our president-elect, and I were talking about that earlier, making it easier for people to be able to assess programs, because we know life gets in the way.
Yes.
But thank you to our mothers, our grandmothers, and for so many that sacrifice their time, their education to allow you and I to get ours and be here and be as successful as we are today. You a little bit more than me. I'm so proud of you. But you know, I heard you say, you want to get out there and you start doing something and not speaking about it until you actually achieve it. And I kind of live by that code as well. You know, you put the pedal to the metal, and then you come back up and then share. But you know, the one thing about adult education, and we see so many movies about night school and getting your GED, and it has such a bad stigma to it. Why do you think that is?
Because you don't want to, be disrespected by your peers. You don't want to be made fun of. You don't want to look like that person that didn't achieve nothing in life. So I mean, but my thing was, I knew I was smarter than Billy. And Billy graduated, why didn't I?
Yeah.
And that was the thing that bothered me the most. I'm like, I know I'm smarter than that guy.
Right.
How did he get a diploma and I didn't? And it's the thing, like that stigma is, you don't want to be made fun of. You don't want to be picked on by your peers, by your family, by your neighbor, by anybody. Because the person didn't say, oh man, you're too old to be in school. Why are you trying to go back to school? It's too late for that. It's too late. But I came up with the slogan, not only in my mind, but with West Virginia adult education, that it is never too late to graduate. It's never too late to graduate. I know ladies that are like 68. That lady was like 68 or something like that. And she was going back to get her bachelor's degree.
I love that slogan. Yes. It's never too late.
It's never too late
to graduate. And I would say this is kind of like the mental health crisis in our country. There is an education crisis, and we have to change how we view adult education and for adults coming back to school. Well, Landau, I thank you so much for being here and celebrating our 25th anniversary. And thank you for joining us again from the Grand Ole Opry House, Mr. Landau Eugene Murphy from America's Got Talent. I know, right? And I should know because I'm Shaketta Thomas. So, hey, thank you again, and I'll see you later on.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All righty. Bye-bye.